Hello, and welcome to Speaking Out on Financial Abuse. Stories of survival and hope after financial abuse in a marriage or romantic partnership. I'm your host, Laurie G, and each episode is going to feature either a survivor of financial abuse to tell their anonymous stories, or an expert author, podcaster, or an advocate organization to bring more awareness about financial abuse in domestic partnerships and hopefully bring resources and recovery for anyone who is a survivor of financial abuse and has not known where to go or who can help, and maybe hopefully prevent it from happening to you if it hasn't already. So, what is financial abuse? The National Network to End Domestic Violence defines financial abuse as a behavior. Now, that's important. It's a behavior that seeks to control a person's ability to acquire, use, or maintain economic resources and threatens their self-sufficiency and financial autonomy. Examples of financial abuse can include forcing a partner to miss, leave, or be late for work, harassing a partner at work with all those text messages and phone calls, refusing to work or contribute, freeload, controlling how money is spent, withholding money or basic living expenses, giving a partner an allowance, stealing money, credit, property, or identity from a partner, forcing a partner to file fraudulent legal financial documents, overspending on credit cards with no personal income, and just making one partner pay for every detail of daily life and disaster alone. You know, I do have something to say about that particular financial violator, the deadbeat freeloader. I've met other adult people who would never tolerate another adult person punching them in the face and not call it abuse. But these same adults, usually women, drag themselves to a stressful or lackluster job every day to financially support a chronically unemployed partner against their will with no determined end in sight, putting everything aside they had hoped for their own futures just to provide daily conveniences to another person and not recognize it as abuse. Any grown adult who demands they are entitled to your income without self-support just because you're married or committed, or uses money to control your everyday opportunities when you are against it and have expressed that to that partner, has trapped you into a financially abusive relationship and a form of domestic violence. If you are under financial abuse, your situation is no less dangerous than any other form of abuse that can lead to ruin and even death. Financial abuse can cause more long-term damage to your future than even physical abuse because it strangles your choices and it drowns your options and everyday responsibilities where only you are getting all consequences. When you take on full financial responsibility for an able-bodied but non-contributing partner against your will, you know the guy, you make enough for both of us, why do I have to work? Or allow yourself to be completely controlled by someone just because you're their only means of support, or they are your only means of support. Your life is on hold, and your life's going to stay on hold unless that partner decides to change or leave. Only then does a person under the domestic violence of financial abuse usually ever gain any kind of freedom to invest their own efforts into their own growth and their own future. But here's the thing. Financial freeloaders specifically are financial predators. They rarely consider any of their financial efforts to be mandatory, and they hardly ever aspire to covering even half of their costs. Left unchecked, their abuse usually worsens as time goes along until a state of learned helplessness becomes the dominant force and argument in your relationship. Because the freeloading partner has successfully turned a domestic violence issue, meaning you're being financially destroyed by this person, into an emotional issue where fingers can now be pointed at you for human reactions to stress and abuse, completely masking the real issue, which is that you are under domestic violence by a financial abuser. Most financial abuse victims have no idea they're under abuse. Not even many abusers know they're inflicting domestic violence by constantly demanding a bailout from you or penny pinching your efforts into worthlessness. If 78% of Americans in a recent poll don't consider financial abuse a domestic violence issue, when it's a factor in 99% of domestic violence cases, clearly there hasn't been enough public outreach or outcry for more awareness and education regarding financial abuse. And for most survivors, they have no idea where they can or even could have sought help if they had any kind of issue with economic violence. The National Domestic Violence Hotline reports that since 2016, financial abuse as a reason for a victim's call has grown 13% annually, and it is occurring across all socioeconomic, educational, racial, and ethnic groups. It's my hope that this podcast, Speaking Out on Financial Abuse, will blow open some doors and generate a lot more public discussion regarding this light-speed growing domestic violence issue that affects all genders and all types of domestic partnerships. You have a right to feel not just physically and emotionally safe in your relationships. You have a right to feel financially safe too. And many out there, you are not financially safe. Thanks for listening to this first intro episode, and I hope you will follow this podcast journey into exploring and revealing all there is to know about financial abuse in romantic partnerships, why it happens, how you can prevent it from happening to you, and how you can survive and even thrive if you've been a victim of economic violence. Thanks again, and hope to see you soon.